Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Ferdinand Mehlinger. Ferdinand, it's great to connect with you. FerdinandMehlinger.com, SEO expert, keynote speaker. I love talking about SEO. I think for many reasons, because I think also people are confused about what it actually is. And so to kind of kick things off, Ferdinand, I'm a business coach. I work with people around the globe who are successful in stock. I get them unstuck. Where's an area that people get stuck in their mindset of SEO and how it can work for them, and how do you get them unstuck?
So I think the mindset that I normally see where people are making mistakes is they're thinking, oh, I need to rank my website when it's really, in reality, it's a web page. So you've got to rank multiple pages, not just one. So that's where landing pages come in. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I've got a website. It's going to rank every single page. The algorithms don't work that way. The variables don't work that way. The spiders don't work that way. So it has to be each page individually. So each page then individually has to then be targeted by the right intent for what the user is looking for. So I think when people are trying to get things done initially, they're thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get my whole web page done," and that's not really what the case is. So I try to help people understand that each web page is kind of like your invitation, your elevator pitch to whatever problem you're solving for that individual page. So no page should be the same because that would be duplicate content, of course. And then there's no penalty for that. It's whatever ranks higher. So that's another thing I think people get mistaken is like, oh, we're going to get penalized. It doesn't work that way. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. If that answers your question, or I can go deeper.
No, I think it's a great tidbit as far as I think people are thinking about I think many people aren't thinking about it one page at a time,
Correct.
and really focusing on maybe the page that they want to push traffic to. It looks now. I think people can start to think of it as more of a micro piece where you can look at small chunks instead of one big undertaking. No, I like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like
Yes.
that a lot. Let me ask you a question. When it comes to looking at kind of the very first step, like one step that somebody can take, with that new mindset, what is that one next step that they can start with?
Figure out what problem you're solving and then solution answer. Uh, People come to learn
Ferdinand, your connection's not very good. I don't know if it's.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're better now. So what's that one thing?
Yeah. Is people and
Yeah, your
question.
connection is really bad. Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I got
All right.
full strength here, which is really.
There we go. Now start again. So what's the one thing?
It's the problem solution that you're solving. So you got to look inside and see, okay, what am I solving? I have no clue what's going on because
It's a solar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse today.
You could be. I didn't even remember that was today.
Yeah. All right. So let's start again. So what's the one thing with their new mindset that they can, kind of, moved.
Figure out what they're yeah. I'd say,
Yeah.
make sure you figure out what problem you're solving with your business or your service. Um, People don't come to your web page to figure out like how special you are. They just want to figure out how you're solving their problem. And I think
Yeah.
within that problem solution, that's where you've got to kind of tell people, this is how I'm different. This is what I do. And this is how I answer and solve this problem that you may be running into. And that could be multiple problems, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's
All
the
right, good.
key.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. So let's talk about SEO for a minute, because I think SEO is so complicated for so many people, right? A lot of people don't really kind of understand what SEO is. I think many people see it as a very expensive endeavor, that
Yeah.
they don't understand kind of what the ROI is or isn't. It's something that can be measured, but people feel can't be measured. It's a little bit of both. So let's do kind of a mini business course on the ABCs, the true fundamentals of SEO, what it is, and kind of how to get started on it. So if you had to extract three things for somebody to really understand, why and how they need SEO kind of made simple. You remember they had those books, such and such for dummies, this XYZ for dummies. I want the business course SEO for dummies. One of top three things. What's number one?
Number one, I would have to say is again, a lot of it I think and starts with that problem solution, that what problem you're answering. And then when you know what that is, then you've got to kind of understand what niche you're in because there's colors that go along with particular problems and intents. So I would research kind of the colors within the psychological colors when people land on your page,
Okay.
to that communicate. That's going to be number one because that's what's going to keep people on that page. If you have yellow and gold and brown and sparklies, people, that's not going to work. It's just got to be kind of geared to
So
what you
more
want focused on. Um, I would then focus on you've got to have your site map. So within your site map of your website, which go to the pages, and understand what your site map is linked to. For your landing pages, for your contact pages, for your call to action pages, understand what you're trying to communicate. Don't just think that just because you have a web page or a website that all of a sudden you're going to rank. There's variations of keywords that are out there that people are searching for. So just because you may be best business attorney, there's variations of that best business attorney in New Jersey, business attorney that aids that has the most wins. There's all these different variations of those keywords. So you want to make sure that you can put those within your sitemap. After that, then I would make sure that you're backlinking. That's the third most important part is the backlinks, or else you're not going to rank. That's how the algorithm works: is what's linked to you and how credible it is, the trust factor, the domain authority, all that sits on that backlink. If it's of a higher relevance that's backlinking to you, then you're going to raise up into the search engines. So I think those are kind of the top three things to think about.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. Thank you for that. And so let's talk a little bit about you. So you have kind of a cool background. You started your career designing algorithms for a company that one day would be known as Google. So tell us about that.
That was honestly by fluke. It wasn't like I was trying to start a career in SEO. They were talking to my mom, trying to get data from. She had one of the largest interior design firms in Orange County. And when Backrub was first initiating its startup, they needed data in order to convert that into an algorithm, in a sense, so that people could search and get the right information about that data. But in order to get that data, you have to go to different companies to have data that's shared. So it was in the very beginnings when they were at the beginning were trying to get that data from certain areas so that they could figure out search terms. So I got on the phone with him because my real dad had worked for JPL and helped with the engineering of the SR-71 Blackbird. So when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old, I was always breaking into his computer and getting in trouble for it. And I just, A run, B run, all that came naturally to me. I wasn't taught. It just kind of, I would go into his computer, I'd break into it. It was the mid 80s. Nobody had computers, but he had one. So it was, I was like, okay, it's worth getting in trouble because nobody else has one of these. Go do it. So
Yeah.
when I started at Google, it became, or Backrub, it's just Python. I mean, it wasn't anything difficult. It's just you're telling a code what to refer to with certain information, and then you build off of that so that it gets smarter. And that's kind of what Google is right now with the algorithms. The algorithm has just been expanded and built off of, but we helped to build the foundational algorithm for what search was bringing in that information, and making it was relevant, because at the time it was kind of like a wild, wild west. You could kind of do anything. So yeah, that's kind of it wasn't glamorous. There was phone lines and phone books and tables everywhere. There was no like plush offices in the beginning. From what I remember, there was very broke down cars in the parking lot, and then until they started getting like venture capital money, that's when you started seeing the Mercedes and stuff come in. But it wasn't anything glamorous. It was just a bunch of kids that needed a paycheck. That's really
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, it sounds like you kind of turned a passion into a business.
I think that's what we all should do.
Yeah.
I tried,
Well,
I
wait,
can't,
so hold on. I want to talk about that. So you turned your
sure.
passion into a business, right? So I want to do a mini life course, 3 things, 3 pieces of advice based on your journey that you would give others on how to turn your passion into your business.
3 things.
Number one.
Number
Yeah.
one, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't fake it. If you really like
Yeah.
something, do it. Who cares if you're a nerd? That's what I was a huge nerd. I didn't have any friends. Nobody wanted to be friends with me because I was the nerdy guy, but I was true to myself. That's what I knew that I could build off of. So, yeah, be true to yourself is one. Two,
Okay.
be the best in your field. Don't try to get into something if you really love it and be mediocre. Nobody wants a mediocre partner. Um,
I,
so be the
yeah.
best at what you can be. And third, invest in yourself to become the best that you can become. Because if
Yeah.
you're not the best, then you can't walk into the room and people are introducing you as the best. I don't really introduce myself at all for anybody. It's what I've built over the years. And it's because I love it. It's a passion of mine. It's something that I won't even watch a movie. I'd rather get on the computer and learn about search algorithms and
Yeah.
how we could. So yeah, be true to yourself, learn, and invest in yourself.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about short term versus long term. I think a lot of times when people start with something like PR, with marketing, with SEO, I think they kind of clump it into the same thing. I'll try it for like a month or two, and it's kind of, like most things, it's the long game. And so, can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I think it's one of those lessons that we learn as we're growing. When you're a kid, you want things fast, you want it immediate. And then as you start to get older, you're realizing, it doesn't really work that way. We have to kind of wait and put the work in, and the effort that you put in, that's what you get as a return. So it's kind of the same thing with SEO. Now there's aspects to that, because if you're dealing with someone who doesn't know what they're doing, ranking wise, with the signals, with the variables, with setting things up, then you're going to be waiting for a very long time with no results. So it's extremely important to understand who you're dealing with as an agency that's handling your SEO, because there's a lot of fakes out there, and I've had to clean up a lot of messes because people are just fake. They don't know what they're doing. Um, and it's kind of like math in a sense. You can't go to a person and say 2 + 2 is 5. They're going to look at you and be like, that's crazy. That's not how it adds up. That's not it. It's the same thing with SEO. It's a mathematical equation. There's nothing in between. It's 200 variables. If they're met, you raise. If they're not, you drop. That's just how the algorithm was designed. It's not judgmental. It's just variables that need to be met. And there's 200 per each page. And as long as you can meet those 200 variables per each page, and the spider rolls back and sends that message to the servers, and then comes back and runs again, then you're going to raise up. But you got to understand, people have to you can't just give your company or your business to some SEO company that says they're an SEO company. That's your baby. So be very selective. It's kind of like if you were handing someone off to take care of your kid, you don't just hand them off to anybody. So be very, very selective of who you use with your process, because the process could be very quick or it could be very long. And enduring and painful, which I've seen with a lot of companies because they've spent so much money and they don't know. You're trying to run your business, so they don't know any better. They're just going by what the person says. And if the person's a great salesman, then you fall into the SEO, like, bad people. Like, there's so many that are out there. So that's one of my fair warnings. Just be very wary of who you deal with.
Yeah. Well, you got to ask the right questions, like anything in business. You got to ask the right questions. You got to do your due diligence. Sometimes it's good to talk to multiple companies to understand kind of where people are coming from. Do your research, and kind of do the gut check too, right? Like, does this make sense? Is the company I'm talking to asking me a lot of questions to understand, or are they just trying to sell me something?
And get it back right. That's
really,
it.
Correct. It's really, really, really important. Okay, good. Thanks. Thank you for that. Let's do a quick speed round. A book or a TED Talk that's had a big impact on you.
Ooh, doesn't matter. Well, it's right here. Let me grab this. I'm reading this right now. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Love this book. This is probably one of the best books that's out there that I read on a daily basis, just because it helps to manifest your future, and helps to control your self-talk and what you're saying to yourself and what you're putting out there into the universe. That to me is, I think it's only like $15. And if someone doesn't have that, email me. I'll buy it for you. I don't care. Like, this is a great book.
Yeah. I love that. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
That's a good one. This is it's I have to say the best piece that I've ever that's hard, man, because you get so many. One thing that's always stuck with me though was a homeless man that I was speaking. I don't judge people. Like, I have no judgment on people. I think that each person has some type of knowledge I can share with you. So I was at this bus stop. I was speaking to this homeless guy, as I was walking by, and he was just very interesting. And he said to me, "Don't live in your environment. Let your environment live inside of you." And I was like, that is so cool, because his story was he had lost his wife and that was the love of his life and he didn't have anything left. So he decided to just walk, and that's all he did, was walk everywhere. But his environment lived inside of him. So he wasn't sad to where people would think that. So that was really cool and very influential in my life that I use on a daily basis as well.
That's great. I love it. I love it. Finish this sentence. One thing everybody needs to do to start their SEO journey is.
Don't believe the very first company you talk to that says they're an SEO expert.
Do your research.
Do your research. You've got to do. Yeah. If I can save people time and headache, I will. I've tried to solve so many problems where this just hasn't been done. So yeah, just do your research.
All right, good. Tell everybody, Ferdinand, where they can connect with you, learn more about you, and get to know you.
Sure. My main website is ferdinandmehlinger.com. That's just, you can learn about me there. I'm the founder of Bluoo Digital. So like, if you want to get in touch with me, it's Ferdinand, Ferdinand at Bluoo, BLUOO.digital. It's the best email to get in touch with me. That's pretty much it. I'm pretty private in what I do. I mean, the news will do some stuff on me when I get involved with things, but I'm pretty private in what I do, but I don't mind helping. So if someone emails me and says, "Hey, I've got this going on. This company said this is what we're supposed to be doing, and this is how much it costs." I don't mind helping and saying, "Nah, I don't think that's right. I don't think it's good. Look at it again, go research someone else." I don't mind doing that. I can't say that I will do the service myself because I've just, at my career, I'm not accepting anything new. I'm maxed out with all of my portfolio. But I don't mind helping at all. I do not mind helping.
Well, I appreciate it, Ferdinand. It was great getting to know you. I always like to extract one thing, think community, which is be true to yourself. And I think that is so true. I appreciate you taking time to share about SEO, a little bit about your journey. Think community. If Ferdinand can help you, reach out. If I can reach you, if I can help you, please reach out at jondwoskin.com. Thanks, man. This was great getting to know you. Thanks for the mini master classes. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.